Here we have a Robinair Mastercool AC automotive recovery machine. The board looks something like this. And I thought to myself, why did the customer mail this over? I never worked on this device before. I do not have any videos working on this device. Usually people mail stuff over when I have a video on YouTube showing how I fixed that particular device. But there's something new every time. Every time somebody sends in something different. To me, I'm not going to be able to figure out what's going on with this board. If the customer did not give me any details, I will not be able to figure it out because I do not have time to sit down and reverse engineer this board, how it works, what that chip does, what that chip does, what that chip does, how that chip talks with that chip, and all the crazy stuff. We see a display on the back here. And let's go over what the customer wrote. Maybe I'll show it to you on screen. Now the customer did mail this bag along with the motherboard, and I do see components inside the bag. So I do not know what was done to the board and why the components are inside the bag, but we're gonna find out. The capacitor at location C3 has blown and taken the pads with it. I was told the capacitor at C1 and C2 are the same as C3. The display works, but it's hard to read and there is no backlight. Love watching your channel. I wish I could repair like you do. Joe. So let's take a look at C1, C2, and C3. And then we're going to look at what's inside the bag. And we'll see if we can figure it out. Just one second. Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
Hi there.
All right.
Okay, the computer, it starts to load, and every time when you just get to where it's enter the password, we have Windows 10 by the way. When it gets to the entering the password, it'll just just shut off.
Shut off completely. It doesn't reboot or restart.
No, it just sits there.
How soon do you need this?
As soon as you can.
Okay, we have a long queue right now. Are you paying cash or credit? $55 is due now. And this amount is non-refundable, but it will apply to the final amount if we are able to fix it. So if we take a look at the board, I do see an arrow, a black arrow on the board right here. So that's the ripped off capacitor, the blown capacitor that ripped off the pads on the board. I see one pad going right here that's ripped off, and we see one pad going here. So basically we have to put the cap here, apply some glue so we can hold it in place, or apply some maybe UV mask, and then we can run a wire from this end to here and from this end to right here. Or the other way would be if we can grind this via and maybe solder the cap directly from this line to this via here. But I do not know if this via can actually hold the cap. We're gonna have to see. It's a small, tiny via. I mean, look at how precise this grinding pen is. Amazing. Before I grind this area, I need to see if the cap will reach from here to here. Apply some flux. Fume extractor on. That's very nice. Now before we continue, let's take a look at the bag and see what's in it. That's of course if I can find it on my bench. I just had it here a second ago and it's right on the floor. Great. The ghost borrowed it. What's inside the bag? I see one humongous cap and I do not see where that cap goes, but the customer did mention C1, C2 and C3. We're gonna check the rest of the board. I see two similar size caps and two small ones and one big one. The customer did mention that C1, C2 and C3 are the same. No connection. It looks like somebody tampered with this component. Applied solder here, here, and here. Where is C2 and C3? C2 is right here, and C2 does not look bad to me. We'll test it, make sure the value is good. That's C4, C2, C1. C2 and C1 looks good to me. Let me just do a quick measurement in resistance mode in circuit. And I'm getting a very high reading, and that's good. What about this one? And I'm getting a very high reading, and that's good. So we're gonna assume those caps are good. Maybe we can touch up on this guy here. I do not know what's going on with this resistor. Let's get rid of the glare. Turn the ring light off and the anti-glare light on. And maybe we can touch up on the right and left lead of this component. The customer did not ask for it, but I feel like it would be nice if we take care of this. Great. Why not brush up on C2 also, because I do see corrosion. Great, awesome. We applied a nice, fresh, shiny layer of solder. And now we're gonna focus on C1. No, we're gonna focus on C3. But let's go ahead and do the same for C1. Now we're gonna focus on C3, and let's see how we're gonna solder that capacitor. Let me grab the cap. So that cap will not fit from here to here, but what we can do is we can solder the cap here, and then we can run a wire from the top end of the cap all the way here. The board is wobbling up and down because it's not stable on the bench, and I do not have a board holder the size of that board. Look, I'm gonna have to put something under it so it does not keep wobbling, unless I want to push it all the way down and then focus my scope like this, and then when I let go, we're gonna go out of focus. Very nice. It made a very solid connection via that tiny via. I was worried that we may rip that tiny via if we try to solder that cap on, but it's perfect. Now we're gonna grind this wire right here, and then we're gonna run a wire from here to here, and maybe we can cover the whole cap with UV mask. We're gonna grind right over here. Maybe we can grind some more. And look at that swap. It's begging to go to the trash can. Not yet, not yet. I still need you. Now we can cut the wire. We do not have to, but to make it look nice, that piece right here, like that. Just make it nice and round. And we're all good. Very nice. We did it. The job is done. We did a very beautiful job. And the customer is going to be happy. Okay, so meter in diode mode. And we can go like this. That's ground. And we have 0.58 voltage drop. Great. So that's ground here and 0.58. We know the cap is making a good connection and we are done. I did mention that we may add UV mask. So let's go ahead and do it. I do not want to cover the entire component so the customer can see it. Well, maybe we'll just do the sides, the edges. That's not silicone, that's not glue, but it will give some support to that component. And that's it. The job is done. We're gonna invoice and mail this back to the customer. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions, and we'll do something else in the next video.